It's the penultimate episode of this week, 253 here on Inside the Game. Nate Wangler alongside Ryan Glinsky back in the building as we get ready to roll for this one. Got a lot of exciting stuff to get to here today. Packed section in hour number one. Talking about a lot of different stuff. Champions League quarterfinals are set, so we'll have Ryan set the table on that. We'll also get some reactions to that as well. We also had a 14-year-old score in the U.S. Open Cup yesterday. It's fascinating to me to just see these players getting younger and younger and doing bigger and bigger things. It was actually Midwest United, the USLW team that I called this year, that debuted a 13-year-old during their season.
Jeez.
It's seeing eighth graders go out and play is a wild experience. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Chelsea dilemma and everything that's going on with that, as well as, the biggest question in all of this. We've seen the fines, we've seen the suspensions, we've seen everything else. Should titles start to be stripped? That's the big question when it comes to Chelsea. And if they strip their titles, well, then where does that stop? Because it seems like there's maybe some other clubs that are also having some similar problems when it comes to misrepresenting and misreporting funds. We'll also talk about the CAF president and a level of distrust in the federation when it comes to Africa right now. So we'll dive into all of that here in hour number one. But getting the show started here today, Ryan, I talked about it yesterday because I thought it was I actually sent you the graphic. I didn't actually we didn't actually have a chance to. There's a lot to talk about here, even in our all sports section, because we have March Madness. So that's the biggest thing that I think we want to get to. But interesting story coming on down the line yesterday. Apparently the Hockey Hall of Fame will not allow Jack Hughes to have his gold medal winning puck. This is something that came down yesterday. Apparently the Hall signed a lot of paperwork. There's a paper trail. They have it at the Hall of Fame, so they have it up in casing and where it needs to be. But Jack is obviously really frustrated about that. But I don't know, man. This seems kind of Bush League. He doesn't get his gold medal winning shot. I mean, I know it's a little bit different. I know Olympics versus other professional sports. Like if this was the NHL, it probably would not be nearly as hard to get him that puck if it was a Stanley Cup or a World Series in baseball, or when Bonds hit his home run, which I don't think they've ever gotten that ball. I think the guy has gone into hiding, and good for him. There are situations in which the players won't get the ball or the puck or whatever it is back. But there's this kind of clashing of heads right now. And I while I understand the technicality behind the Olympic Committee or the Hall of Fame being like, this is our puck, because obviously it's a piece of hockey history. It's the first time in nearly half a century that the U.S. men's national team has done that in hockey. So it is crazy to think that it took as long as it did. And I understand where, it is a piece of history. I mean, this one puck holds a lot of significance, a lot of importance. However, if you were to look at the human side of this story, I don't know. I think it's something that's worth talking about, simply because Jack Hughes talked about it's not necessarily for him. He wants it for his dad. He wants it for his parents, and obviously we know about his mom. I think the funniest thing about people in the whole U.S. men's national team saga, they want to go after Jack and Quinn Hughes' mom. I mean, reality is that they wouldn't be in a position to win a gold medal if it wasn't for Mama Hughes. So I would kind of tamper those criticisms. But I don't know, Ryan. I think he deserves the puck, personally. I mean, if I'm taking a look at this from a human perspective, I understand that the Hall of Fame wants it for the historical significance of it, but it was also his shot. So I don't get why we can't have a little bit of human with us here and be like, you know what? Yeah, I mean, the kid deserves it. The family deserves it. I mean, I feel like they're the biggest American hockey family there is, between what mom does and obviously Quinn and Jack and what we saw during the Olympics. So I don't know. You could go either way. I think both sides have solid points. That's what I'm saying.
It's not that big of a deal.
No,
it's not that big of a deal to give him the puck. I mean, without it, it's not like baseball where the ball is gone and you may never get it back. Like a couple people have never gotten their home run ball back, or maybe a hit or anything like that. Just give the guy the puck. I mean, he scored the goal. He wants to keep it. It's his puck. It's his goal. It's the golden goal, for crying out loud. Just give him the puck.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult, guys. But
right.
I mean, I don't know. Just give him the puck. It's not that difficult.
Sometimes
people do the easiest things the hardest ways, and they're clearly doing it the hardest way right now.
Yeah, well, and it's just they're living the Hall of Fame right now is living on a technicality because you're like technically it's ours. It's like, well, no, technically you didn't score the goal. You weren't out there. So I think it's a common sense approach to this one. I think the kid certainly deserves it. But we can get into our number one here. I just thought that was interesting to mention because you do see that a lot of times. You know, if it does go into the crowd, you're probably not going to get it back. But you know, what's stopping the Hall from just getting another puck that they used in that game and being like, hey, you know, here it is. But, you know, then again, that would be lying. So I understand why they wouldn't want to do that. But let's get into our soccer conversation here in hour number one on Inside the Game. As always, we stop you guys. We appreciate you guys stopping back in here for 253. Also, our good friend Shrocky. I think he's in a doctor's appointment right now. So, I mean, I think he's getting his head checked. So he might come in with a few comments here about half hour in. So we'll wait on Shrocky and see what he has to say. But the Champions League quarterfinals are set. Let's set the table, and then we'll also get some predictions on what we think will happen coming up in the Champions League quarterfinal. Ryan, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, yesterday, Tottenham loses, Galatasaray loses, but that was expected, and Newcastle just gets pummeled, and then Bayern Munich did. So, yeah, Leonard Prescott did play in that game, but it didn't really matter, to be honest with you. They were already up 6-1 when it happened, but if we're looking at the Champions League in a bigger picture, I still think that left side of the bracket is 10 times harder than the right side of the bracket. You think on the left side, you have Bayern Munich taking on Real Madrid. Then you have Liverpool taking on PSG. Then you look at the right side, and it's Sporting Lisbon, Arsenal, and then Atletico and Barcelona, which that one should be a really good tie. Atletico and Barcelona, just because of what happened a couple of weeks ago, how difficult that game was for Barcelona, and Atletico actually be the team that goes through instead in the Copa del Rey. That's an impressive game to keep an eye out for, or that should be a good one to watch out for. But no, I think yesterday everything was kind of predicted. It was a pretty I guess I should say entertaining day, to be honest with you, Nate, because everything was expected. Bayern Munich already took care of business in the first leg. There was really the only storyline was the goalkeeper situation, and they didn't really have any issues with that. Then you think of Liverpool. They went to, oh my gosh, by the way, thoughts and prayers to Noah Lang, man. He lost a finger yesterday playing the game at Anfield. He got his finger caught in the advertisement billboard there and amputated his finger off yesterday.
Oh.
Man, I feel bad for that guy. Noah Lang used to be one of the most hot prospects coming out of Ajax. He hasn't really lived up to expectations. He's still a good player, but hasn't been the heights that everyone really expected. But, man, thoughts and prayers with Noah Lang. That is just disgusting to see and just bad to overall see. Hopefully there's no, lawsuits or anything that goes on with Liverpool and maybe Noah Lang's camp. Or I don't know how that'll all work. But shout out to Noah Lang. Hopefully he's recovering nicely. I know you don't have to have all 10 fingers to play the game of soccer if you're an outfield player, but it still sucks that it happened that way. And yeah, no, that was just scary. I was literally watching that right before I came on the show today. That's just disgusting to see.
Yeah.
But no, the Champions League. I mean, it was pretty predictable this round. I think the only unpredictable thing that happened was maybe Man City, Real Madrid. But I think now the real competition starts, and I think you're going to finally see, you're finally going to see some of those marquee matchups. I think Liverpool PSG will be a good one. I think PSG will still get out of it. I think Real Madrid Bayern Munich will be the best one. Just the best teams. I think two of the best teams playing each other. I think it's the best matchup. Arsenal Sporting Lisbon. I think Arsenal will still take care of it, which for all the people that are bitching about Arsenal having an easy path to the Champions League, look, dude, they finished first in the league phase, the table phase. Not their fault that they are getting rewarded with an easier path because they went undefeated, didn't lose a single game in the league phase. It's not their fault that they won all those games. They played Bayern Munich, they played Inter Milan. They could have beat them, but instead Arsenal won anyway. So, sorry. Maybe other teams should win more games and not lose as much as Arsenal does. I'm sorry. Atletico, Barcelona, I think that is also a really enticing one just because of the whole Spain thing, the whole La Liga thing, being, I wouldn't say rivals, but I guess league rivals, I guess is the better term of terminology for that one. But I think Barcelona will still get through. I think they're going to have some issues. I think they'll still have some issues with Atletico because they're just Atletico's a team where they're never really that good, but they just give you issues every single time they play. And Barcelona's probably a little bit pissed off about what happened in the Copa del Rey semifinals. Which they are playing Real Sociedad in. So shout out Pellegrino Matarazzo, USA guy. Shouldn't say U.S. men's national team guy. But yeah, no, I would say the whole round of 16 was rather boring, I would say, to be honest with you, Nate. I just, nothing really popped out, no real upsets or anything. I mean, the whole Bodo thing was kind of cute for a little bit, but then they blow it, give up a 5-goal loss to Sporting Lisbon. Real Madrid, Man City. I mean, yeah, I guess, but that was kind of a blowout, to be honest with you. It was just more of a shock that Man City lost. But no, I just think it was overall a pretty boring Champions League round of 16. Hopefully for better things in the quarterfinals.
Well, I mean, I guess it sets up more exciting matchups on down the line in the quarters, when we look at it. And that's, something that, as reading a couple of different articles, one from The Athletic, I mean, you think of all the different combined titles. I think it's 4 out of the tournament's 5 most successful teams ever are in this tournament right now. And so I think it sets up a really fun quarterfinals matchup. You were talking about a lot of those, obviously PSG and Liverpool, really long history between those two. And so that should be a really fun matchup. Madrid and Bayern Munich is a really fun one. I mean, this is the European Classico. It's the most played fixture in the history of the Champions League and European Cup. So just the history alone between Madrid and Bayern Munich, I think is really going to set up a surprisingly fun matchup between those two, the very biggest and best European football clubs. And obviously we know Madrid has had their struggles, but I think it's really still going to set up an exciting matchup. And I mean, that rivalry dates all the way back. You got to go all the way back to the 70s, I think, is the first time that rivalry really started to take legs. And so I think that's going to be a fun one. Barcelona and Atletico Madrid, obviously, it won't be, 0-0. Barcelona, I think, has over 2.5 goals per game expected. I think they have 124 goals already this year. So, I mean, they've shown that they could score quite a bit. And obviously, Lamine Yamal is the story. I mean, he's the one that I think everybody's going to be watching. Everyone's going to be locked on to in that matchup. We've seen what he's already done this year. But you're right. I do think Arsenal probably has the easiest path to the end. But, I mean, the reality is this what happened? This is what happens when you're in first place. This is what happens when you put yourself in the best position to be successful. And so, not to say it's, they still have to win the games. They still have to go out and prove that they can win it and do it in the Arsenal way, which apparently has rubbed off on people the wrong way all year this year. They are jealous. And again, we've talked about effective versus pretty. If it's effective and if it works, it works. And that's what Chelsea has, or rather, that's what Arsenal's been able to figure out this year. By the way, I have an Everton jersey because one of my old friends is a fan. And so he gave it to me about a week ago because he said it was an XL. It fits like a bodysuit. So I should show that off on the show one of these times because it's definitely not an XL. Either that because they just assumed soccer, like a soccer XL must not be a regular XL. So, that must be like a medium. So I don't know how it works in soccer.
No, you're right on that aspect because soccer jerseys run a little bit tighter because the soccer players are pretty skinny, pretty small.
That thing's a medium.
This was funny. I saw a tweet on this when the USA jersey just got released to the public and everything, and people could buy them. Within a couple hours, the only jersey size that were sold out was XL and double XL. And someone was and someone was like, "Man, we this just shows how fit our country is that the XL, the double XLs are what is being sold first." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess. I mean,
yeah,
we do have an obesity problem in the United States, so." But yeah, no, soccer jerseys do run slim. They really do. And by the way, Nate, I know you brought up expected goals. Can I just say that is this is not a shot at you, but that is the most overrated stat I think in all of soccer. Like the people out there that are like, well, they lost the game, but they had more expected goals. Did the ball go in the back of the net? Yes or no? I don't have to care. I don't care about expected goals. The better stats are the better stats are the possession, the chances created, the shots on goal. That's what matters. This whole expected goal thing is because this really pisses me off, to be honest with you. The whole expected goals, like you just said a word and unintentionally just pissed me off. Like Like you did it
Well, I don't know if
unintentionally.
that was expected or if that was like what they're averaging is
But
2.5
but anyway, it's
per
expected
match.
goals regardless or not. I think it's the
Okay.
most overrated stat
Yeah.
because wow, they
Yeah,
were
I could see
expected
that.
to score a goal, but they didn't score a goal. Like like there's
Yeah,
sometimes where a team is
right.
like they get a .3 expected goal, but they won the game 1-0. So they were
Yeah.
expected to score less than half a goal, but they still scored a goal and they still won. It is the most overrated stat in all of soccer, and it's so annoying because
We
there's
were supposed to score in that game, but we
like
didn't.
there's people out
That's
there, there's
funny.
analysts out there,
Yeah.
what they call pundits out there. Like in podcasts, people are like, well, the expected goals was this in that game. Like they really should have won.
Yep.
Did they win or did they not? Did they score goals or did they not? I do not care about expected goals. It's almost like in basketball where like a team loses, but they had really high efficiency shooting. I don't care if they lost
Yeah.
the game, they lost the game. But their
Yep.
shots were really efficient. They shot some really good shots. Did the ball go in the net or not? I do not care about expected goals. I like how you unintentionally pissed me off this morning. Unintentionally. Because that's just so annoying. Like expected goals are so stupid. It's the stupidest stat out there.
But I mean, it's back to the Arsenal thing. It is supporters will have obviously bad memories of losing to Sporting. I think it was on penalties a few years ago. What,
Yeah, in the
3
Europa
years
League
ago
round of
now?
16.
Yeah. But I mean, they thrashed them the last time they played them. What, 5-1? I think it was. So I think it's natural to think that they'll be right in line to go back out and just take care of business. And obviously, after taking care of Bodo, it people can say it's a cupcake walk, but again, you earned it with the position that you were in and how you've played leading up to this point. So yeah, really, really good chance for Arsenal and to kind of prove themselves against, again, a lot of those clubs in that competition, which have been extremely successful. But I'm assuming Arsenal's your pick to win it all from
No.
our fellow Gunner here on the show. You
No,
don't want to? Okay. All right.
No,
All
because
right.
I still got to see them win something. I still got to see
Yeah,
them
that's
win a
fair.
trophy. And it hasn't happened since 2020, which the fact that team won a trophy still blows my mind. That was a social experiment team, 2020 Arsenal.
Did 2020 affect that season much like it did in the American pro sports? Because I know like NBA was shortened because of 2020.
2020 was actually like for watching soccer was actually really fun. I'm not gonna lie. So I was a landscaper at the time. Basically, I came home from hanging outside with my boys and my dad. I walk in, my dad's like, "Hey, I got you a landscaping job with a family friend. You start work on Tuesday." I'm like, "Oh, cool, Dad.
Fun.
That sounds good." So, but
Thanks.
so in the like a month in was like the restart. So they restarted in like June, and I wouldn't say it really affected anyone because everything was kind of set in stone at that point. Like Liverpool was already going to win the league. Relegation was already kind of figured out. The top four was kind of figured out already. So like it didn't really do anything. The only thing it created was COVID Christian Pulisic, who was unbelievable. COVID Christian Pulisic might rival Prime Messi. I'm not gonna lie. COVID Christian Pulisic was like the greatest thing ever. This guy was insane. But every game, there was a game on every single day. So like it was always in the evening too. So like I'd sit there pulling weeds, and I just had the phone out and just watching soccer, pulling weeds, whatever. If I wasn't cutting, which was nice because our day always started with cutting bushes, and I couldn't listen to anything then. But then at the end of the day, we were always picking weeds at the place, and that's when the games were on. I wouldn't say it affected it too much because, no, never really affected anything because there was still like 10 games to go. It didn't really matter. I think if anything, it affected the Champions League more because that was, like they did the knockouts, obviously. I think at that point in time, they were in the round of 16, and I think they had to finish some second legs in the round of 16. But, some people were through to the quarterfinals. The only difference was it was single elimination at that point. They didn't play two legs like they normally do. So they played a lot of single. So like so the teams that didn't play their second leg played their second leg. Then they went to the quarterfinals, and that was single elimination. Then they played the semifinals, and that was single elimination. And then they played the finals, and that was single elimination. I don't remember if that was. I think there was away games. I think there was. But like the home, whoever was the higher seed got the home game. I think. I don't remember exactly, but that was the only thing that I think was truly affected. I think everything else was kind of it went pretty smoothly. But I think that was
Yeah.
the only thing that was truly affected. Was that Champions League that year?
Yeah, it kind of threw a
And then
wrench
same
into
thing happened in
everything,
Europa League
but
too.
interesting. Yeah. But let's step aside here on Inside the
Speaking of
Game. We
2020
come
Champions League, this is the winners right here.
Bayern. FC Bayern summer soccer camps are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, fostering football excellence. Good poll, by the way. Good timing on your end. Across North America, open to boys and girls of all skill levels. FC Bayern camps deliver elite training inspired by FC Bayern Munich's world-class philosophy. Select your city and start a promising soccer path. Right now, save $30 on registration by using promo code BayernNSN30. Again, that's BayernNSN30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Learn more at fcbayernyouth.com.
America's oldest soccer tournament, the most fabled Giant Killers, for the first time ever in Genesee County. Your Flint City Bucks host Wisconsin professional club Forward Madison FC in the first round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Kickoff is 6:30 p.m. Thursday, March 19th at Don Batchelor Stadium in downtown Grand Blanc. Be part of history as the winner moves one step closer to a Major League Soccer matchup. Tickets are on sale now at flintcitybucks.com. Flint City Bucks, the future of MLS.
Welcome back inside the game. Speaking of the Flint City Bucks, we got to get to this, the oldest soccer tournament in the history of North America, actually going on right now, the U.S. Open Cup, something that we love to talk about every year. Did so last year, and obviously this year, the same exact thing. Ryan and JT actually going to be handing out some tickets. They're going to be in the mix for the U.S. Open Cup. Obviously, we got to talk about the eighth grader that scored yesterday. Let's talk a little bit about the Cup. Ryan, take it away.
Today, if you want to take a break from the March Madness, U.S. Open Cup, Flint City taking on Forward Madison USL 1 side, Flint City USL 2 side, and presented by Irene's Craft Kitchen and Beer Garden. John and I will be doing some food reviews there today, including interviewing the owner as well. Pregame show, I believe starts at 6 p.m. Game is at 6:30. But there's a couple funny things I do want to. It's kind of funny, but like some key things I want to point out for the game here tonight. One, Flint City hasn't played a game yet this year, so new squad and everything. And talking to head coach Paul Doro, he said he's like, it's not a ton of training sessions in yet, but it's a new squad, and we don't because USL 2, for people who don't know, is mainly made up of college kids, and what's still going on right now, college. So they don't have all their guys in the squad yet. Then talking to Matt Glazer for Forward Madison. They've had some issues just trying to even get to Flint City. They played the reigning champs in the USL League One this past weekend, beat Knoxville SC, and they had some flights delayed. They were supposed to fly from Knoxville to Chicago, then train there for a little bit, and then come to Flint. However, they didn't even make their flight, or well, I shouldn't say didn't make their flight. Their weather permitted their flight, so they drove to Indiana. By the time when I interviewed Glazer, that was I think on Tuesday, and they were still in Indiana. They were then traveling yesterday, meaning Wednesday, back to Michigan to play. And and another interesting tidbit out there: Forward Madison will not play a home game for another month. Their stadium is currently being actually 2 months. Their stadium is currently being renovated at the moment. I don't know. The coach said, "Yeah, we won't be playing a home game for a long time," but just thought that was a pretty interesting tidbit about the game. Flint City, obviously, we do still have 6 tickets left to go. If anyone would like to go, just DM us real quick. We had Ken Sleeman, I think was his name. He took the tickets immediately, gave him 4 tickets. And so there's that. But if you want some tickets to the game for free, just DM us on Instagram right now, and we'll give it to you. And we'll even shout you out if you want the tickets right now. But yeah, there's that. But no, it should be an interesting one. U.S. Open Cup. It's single elimination cup game, all that fun stuff. So fits in well with the March Madness theme. The other day, Vermont Green, they beat a USL one side. I forgot the name, but there's upsets that can happen all over the place. So there's that. And then even Michigan Rangers, who's a semi-pro side, they actually went up 1-0 against USL Championship side DCFC, but that was short-lived as DCFC slowly took over. But for a split second, there was a worldy, 40-yard out free kick put in the top bins. Could not have hit it any better. But no, it's U.S. Open Cup, single elimination, should be a fun one. John and I will be down there today. Maybe if we get a couple of on-field interviews, we'll show them during the show tomorrow for a little bit. But should be a fun day. And if you got nothing going on, make sure to tune in here on the Nashville Soccer Network. We'll be airing it, I believe, Facebook, YouTube, and anywhere we watch Inside the Game, you'll be able to watch this pregame, postgame show.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it was Vermont Green. They beat Portland Hearts of Pine yesterday, so it was a 1-0 win in that one in the first round. It's always an exciting tournament for a couple of different reasons. I think the biggest reason is for obviously these USL clubs. It's a real opportunity not to just put yourself on the map, but to kind of put yourself squarely in the line of sight of USA Soccer. And I know that, one of our most successful bits that we've talked about a lot on this show is the USL and the MLS, and how the USL is trying to build to a point to where they can compete with the MLS. And it starts with the authenticity component and capitalizing on markets that maybe weren't seen by Major League Soccer because they wanted to go after the big dogs, and understandably so. But I think Vermont Green is one of those squads. I certainly think here in Michigan with Flint City, we know about their history. We know about over 100 players produced that have gone into Major League Soccer. And I think it's funny that we have that advertisement here on this show that says the future of MLS. They're not in the MLS, but in terms of a breeding ground for talented prospects to play in Major League Soccer, yeah, Flint City's a great place to do that. So I think it's interesting because we always talk about this tournament. We're like, well, once they get to the end, then you start inserting MLS sides, and then it gets interesting because it's like they almost don't stand a chance. But I think with the better that the USL continues to get, especially with developing young players, I think these games and these matches are going to get way more competitive at the end. And I think we're going to start to see maybe some USL sides actually making some noise in USA Soccer. So I think, if anything, this tournament is most exciting for the USL. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the content that you guys can get out there. Obviously, that's a great environment, and I'm sure you'll have a chance to talk to a couple of their players. And I'm just interested to see who's next up at Flint City. Obviously, Donovan Phillip, he's the one that's in the advertisement that we continue to show. And what an exceptional player he was, man. I mean, I got to call a couple of his games last year, and then obviously what he did at NC State, getting them all the way to the national championship, and now, embarking on his career as a professional. It's awesome to see. So you already know Flint City's going to have a couple of different players on that team that you're like, all right, this kid has a serious future. I don't know where it is, but it's going to be somewhere. So that's the fun thing about watching the Bucks year in and year out, is you just realize they have a crop of players where someone's going to go somewhere and do something. So that's what kind of adds to the excitement of all of that. But yeah, this is the U.S. Open Cup. Should be fun. Looking forward to all that.
We might have to add this into the second hour, but I don't know if you saw during the break, but I think Cade Cunningham's out for the year. Just putting it out there. Collapsed lung. Just putting it out there. I think Cade Cunningham's out for the year.
Are you serious? You're not. This isn't like it's not April yet, so this can't be an April Fool's.
Cade out indefinitely. Piston star diagnosed with collapsed lung.
All right, let's continue talking about soccer. We'll get depressed in hour number 2. Oh man.
So they're saying could be 6 weeks, 3 to 6 weeks, but it's a long, so I don't know how that all plays out. But he could be out for the year.
How far out are the NBA playoffs? April 14th, 17th? Okay. All right. Makes me a little uncomfortable thinking about it. Marcus Sasser, you are our savior. We need you. But anyways, talking about developing young players in the USL, I think probably no better example of that. Not that I want to ignore the news you just gave me. I mean, we should definitely dive into that in hour number 2, but should probably get back into what we're doing here in this first hour. That's a big blow. That is that's like worst case scenario if you're a Detroit Pistons fan. Right. And watching what the Wings are doing right now. This could get really interesting really fast. But talking about the news that happened yesterday in the US Open Cup, we talked about developing young players. We talked about what's the best, place if you're a young prospect in the US. Is the USL the way to go? MLS next? Where should you go? The USL, in my mind, is becoming more of a development league, a pure development league, than the MLS is. And yesterday we got to see another bit of history. Braden Kalanji, I believe is how you pronounce it, made history yesterday, scored a goal for the against Chattanooga FC during a dramatic sequence in which Chattanooga's goalkeeper saved a penalty only for Kalanji to chip in the rebound in order to get that goal. Breaks the previous record, which was held by Marcus Lee, who was 15 years old when he scored a goal against California United Strikers FC in 2022. Obviously, there's been some other notable young players. Kevin Sullivan, obviously, how could we forget about him? Yeah. 16 years old, youngest American to score in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Also, Anthony Capetillo Hernandez, he was 16. He scored against Phoenix Rising. So it's happened before to where we've had kids, adolescents score in these tournaments, but 14 is wild. That's absolutely bonkers to me. Crazy to see that yesterday. And you're right, Ryan. It was a good goal.
Yeah, this was so. The team is called that Kalanji played for as Kalanji Pro Profile Team. Or Kalanji Soccer Academy, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
So that's
okay.
But they keep saying Kalanji Pro Profile Team, so I don't know the name exactly. But they play in the UPSL, the United Premier Soccer League. We cover a couple teams from the UPSL here on our network. Chicago Nation is the one that comes off the top of my head, just because we had their coach or owner or. I forgot his exact. I know he was the coach, and I think he was the owner of Chicago Nation on the show not too long ago, back in the fall. So that's how I remember it. I remember having Chicago Nation. They're unbelievable.
I do.
But no, they beat an MLS or didn't beat an MLS side, but MLS Next Pro side. But no, it's a really impressive goal. I don't think I don't think he'll be like the next greatest soccer player of all time, but it's something that is worth mentioning. And you know what's even crazier is this kid is like an 8th grader. Like the age of 14 is an 8th grader playing against grown men. Like that's basically what this whole thing comes down to. But yeah, no, that's the magic of some of these cups, man. Like we can talk about the U.S. Open Cup, obviously the biggest knockout competition here in the United States, but you think of Copa del Rey in Spain, you think of the FA Cup in England. So like there's crazy things that happen in these cup games, and sometimes these bigger sides. That's why I always like when the bigger sides go to the smaller stadiums for a little bit for a game, because the fans always talk about it. It's like, wait, you're telling me Messi's coming? You're telling me Thierry Henry is coming? You're telling me Ronaldo's coming to our stadium? Like, we're going. And then obviously the
Yeah.
ticket prices go up a lot just because,
Yep.
who's going into the game. But no, crazy things happen in these games. And sometimes you see a 14-year-old, a 15-year-old play. But sometimes, the bigger sides will give a younger player a chance, like Arteta against Mansfield Town, USL, or not USL, I think League One side.
Yeah.
Gave Max Dowman a shot, 16-year-old, played really well, comes and plays Everton, scores his first Premier League goal. But yeah, no, that's what happens. A lot of young players are given chances in these cup competitions, whether they're good or whether they're just a better team that they're playing on. So no, crazy things happen, and would not be. I'm actually really curious about this game today. Flint City Forward Madison. Back to this one, I forgot to mention it. With not knowing film on anybody, I got a feeling this is going to be a pretty dull match in the first 30 minutes, I think, because these coaches are going to be like, so how are we trying to figure this thing out? Like, there's no film on these players. There's for Flint City, I guess they're at an advantage because Forward Madison has played one game. But like, I've asked the coaches, I go, how do you prepare for this? And it goes, we'll have to figure it out on the field. It's going to be a chess match, and it's going to be dull in the beginning, but I think things will start to open up in the second half.
Yeah, it's like the international friendly against Liga MX last year. It's like, well, I mean, they're from Mexico. We're from here. Like, we don't play these guys. So, like, how do we figure out how to go about this? But, by the way, if you ever want to see for Americans, if you grew up watching this game, like, let's just say you had a friend or a cousin or someone else that you knew play it, or maybe you just found yourself at a match once upon a time. Try to watch, if you ever get the opportunity to watch an international friendly between a U.S. team and a team from Mexico. Try to watch it. I'm not kidding, because it resembled more WWE in that match than anything else I've ever seen before. It's kind of crazy, and like it goes to show you, like, soccer is very much a physical sport. Like, maybe we didn't grow up in that nearly as much, but in a lot of places in the world, it's as physical as anything you can get. And those slide tackles are vicious, man. As long as you time them well and you get the ball first, like, that's legal, man. That's completely clean. So, it's always fascinating when people are like, well, soccer isn't a physical sport. It's like, okay, like, we gotta pause this here for a second, because if the issue is flopping and acting like, if you need the stretcher to come out and then you're back in the game, okay, you know what? That's a little bit much.
That's Neymar-esque.
But but it's also
right
like,
but
that's whatever. But that's a part of the game. You got to sell it. You got to put yourself in a good spot. Arsenal has proven this year that you can win games on set pieces, and so may as well sell it and be good at selling it at the same exact time. So, but no, soccer is very much a physical sport, and I've seen that in front of me in multiple different instances.
We're gonna have to do an episode like right before the World Cup of how to sell the game of soccer to Americans. That's what we're going to have to do.
To
do that.
No, that's a good idea. I think I got some ideas. But let's talk a little bit more about maybe some non-American football on the other side. Chelsea, obviously that storyline continues to get more and more bizarre as we go about the days. They are facing a bevy of punishments, again, still investigating over 74 allegations against the club. So the question has been raised, should their titles be stripped from the years that were in question? I'm sure there's a few different people who have a few different answers to that. We'll get our answers on the other side right here on Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Getting into our final topic here in hour number 1 on Inside the Game. Nate Wangler, Ryan Glinsky. You look like you got something to say. You're winding up for something there.
We'll save it for the second hour, but basically I'll start it off with we can't have shit in Detroit. I just thought of like our injury history when our teams are good.
Oh, we can't. Yeah.
And we just can't have shit. I'm waiting for someone on the Tigers to die this season. That's basically what it's not a matter of if someone dies on the Tigers, it's a matter of when.
Yep.
And it'll probably be like Riley Green, our like one good hitter.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it'll probably be a little arm blowout, from someone who is very important in that starting rotation. I won't mention his name. He's the name that shall never be spoken on this.
That's right. He died too last year. He wasn't bad. God,
I know. Well, he's back in the building.
Anything. God.
JV is here to save us. When all of our 20-somethings get hurt, the 40-year-old will be here to save the day for us. So that's why we went out and got.
We can't have shit in Detroit. That's all I'll say.
We can't. We absolutely cannot. Yeah, and not just injuries, but also like draft positions and all that other stuff. So yeah, no, absolutely.
Then we win meaningless games, and then we lose our draft. God dang, we can't even. God, we'll save it for the second hour. We just can't have shit in Detroit.
We are so good in September in the past with the Tigers. Anyways, let's get into this. Chelsea, we talked about some of the penalties yesterday for their secret offshore accounts and their misrepresenting funds and
what happens when you're
everything else that they've done. Yeah, the slimy stuff they've done to put themselves in a position to win has come back and has hit them in the face, squarely in the face. And so now the question becomes, which is it's their favorite question whenever these conspiracies happen, especially if you're a fan of a club that maybe is opposite of Chelsea or doesn't like Chelsea, or you could just say the rest of the Premier League. I'm sure probably doesn't like Chelsea very much. What happens now? Do they end up stripping the titles? Ryan, I'll let you take this one away. I always think this is a difficult topic because I think the ones who won the titles are the ones who were on the field. They were not the ones who were making the slimy deals in the backdrop. What says you on this?
So again, I don't think that they shouldn't. Or obviously they won the game on the field, but with the players that were mentioned, David Luiz, Nemanja Matic, Jean-Obi Mikel, or not Jean-Obi Mikel, which by the way I still got to make a video. That guy's had a rough week. Luis Ramirez and Eden Hazard. So I went back to look at the time frame of when they won champions or when their trophies were won, and there were 7 during that time frame. And then I looked, okay, let's see who was on the field for these games. And even in the Champions League final, David Luiz was on the field, and Eden Hazard was on the field, Luis Ramirez was on the field, and Nemanja Matic. Those were key players on all these teams. Yet everything was done illegally, and yet if you play these players, which we have seen we've seen games and wins vacated in college football because of playing ineligible players. So if the way they got these players were illegal and they played and they were they played a significant part in these games and in these finals, it should be stripped or at least put an asterisk on it or something. Well, if you put an asterisk on it, it would mean it's stripped. But if you play if you play these players, the moment you play these players in games and there was something illegal to get them there, I think is when everything should be stripped. This does not mean whoever was the runner-up gets the trophy. That's not the case because they won the game on the field. But there's been rules and there's been countless examples of if you play illegal players, then everything's stripped. That's just the way sports works. And Hazard was in his prime as one of the best players of all time. I shouldn't say of all time. I should say he's one of the best wingers ever in his prime. This guy was unbelievable. David Luiz was one of the best center backs in his prime. Nemanja Matic was an unbelievable 6, maybe the best 6 in the Premier League at that time, maybe behind Fernandinho. But no. And then Luis Ramirez played significant roles. But there is something that says when there is an illegal player playing, you should strip it. That's what it is. I get it. On the field, I know that's probably where you're going to go. The game is won on the field. But when there's illegal ways to get players and those players play, it should be stripped.
Right. But did those players know where that money was coming from?
I don't know.
That's my question. Were the players completely aware of the dealings that they were getting themselves into when Chelsea was shelling out this money. Did they know that this was coming from illegal accounts offshore, that they
There's a
were getting this
middleman.
money from somewhere? There's a middleman. Exactly. So as a player, in my mind, I just want to put myself in the best position to go out and win, right? I want to find a club that fits me. I want to play with my friends or the people that I know can make me a better player. So that's the only difficult part with me is I come from this perspective of, okay, yeah, I mean, obviously the way that the organization went about getting those players is slimy and skeezy. And we would say the same exact thing. This is why people, we look at like the LA Dodgers with their $2.1 billion payroll. And it's like, this can't all be clean money. Is it clean money? Is all of it clean? Because how do you have that big of a payroll compared to the rest of Major League Baseball? I mean, the only teams that are even relatively close are San Diego, New York, and that's it. That's the list. And so, is all that money clean? The players themselves don't really get into all that. All they know is, hey, we went through these dealings, and this is the amount of money they're offering me. And if I sign on the dotted line, I'll have $167 million. And so that's the only thing that I maybe give a little bit of pushback on is, yes, I realize they were on the field and they weren't supposed to be there, at least not at the price tag that they were. But did they know that those dealings were going on behind closed doors? Because I don't know if I can necessarily hold that against the players. To be completely honest with you, I mean, I would be surprised to think that they knew that was going on the whole time, or that they're not equally as shocked as you or I are to hear this news about Chelsea. The other thing that I'll mention, and this is when it comes down to punishing a team, it's kind of like you think of, I don't know if you ever watched the documentary Pony Express about Southern Methodist and getting
That
the
was
death penalty.
Eric Dickerson, running back.
Yeah, yeah. So
you know what's funny about that is
What's up?
If you talk to SMU fans about NIL, you know what they call it?
What?
They refer to NIL as now it's legal.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
I like
good.
that. Yeah. No, and I'm sure there's probably a lot of schools that are like that. Like
Nick Saban's Alabama.
Yeah, or like Reggie Bush, like all the crap that he went through. I mean, geez.
Fab
But
Five.
anyways, yeah, Fab Five's another good example. I mean, that's why they're back at Michigan and doing all the different stuff. That's why Juwan Howard was the head coach of the Michigan.
God, did he
Wolverines.
suck?
God, we know how that worked. That was such a romantic story to begin with, and then everyone was like, "This sucks." But anyways, he just rode LeBron's coattails to an NBA championship, and we thought he was the best thing since sliced bread. No, here's what I'll say. With the things that you are handing out in terms of the bans, in terms of the suspensions, in terms of the sheer amount of money, you can make it hurt to the point of it's going to take a long time to get back to even being semi-competitive. And even SMU's a really good football program. They weren't what they were
just got
then. They'll
death
never
penalty.
they'll never be back to where they were once upon a time, because literally the death penalty, I mean, you're not mincing words when we say death. Like, death means death. It doesn't mean like, it means dead. And so the NCAA at that point, I mean, that was the iron fist. I feel like there's a way of maybe bringing out the iron fist against Chelsea without having to take away what's already been done by the players on the pitch. Okay, yeah, you acquired some players illegally. I understand it. By the letter of the law, I'm sure there's something in there. And again, this is me trying to make some sort of an emotional human statement against what the letter of the law says. And honestly, I mean, we've seen it even with AFCON stuff. And I don't know if we're going to get into that talk, but we've seen how the letter of the law sometimes trumps the humanity side of it. But you can make it hurt to the point of Chelsea won't be competitive for a long time if you truly think that this is as heinous as it is, which, I mean, from what we've seen, it could be. There's ways of doing that to where you're going to tie this club, you're going to tie their hands behind their back. And so to do that and strip the titles away, I mean, you may as well just burn the place down at that point. It may as well just not exist, because everything's gone. And yes, I mean, there were some people who did some shady things, but does that automatically take away from everybody else who was involved in that? Because the reality is you need 11 players on the field to win, and so everybody else who was involved in those championships, that's the hard thing. And that's, they said that about Michigan too. You don't take it away from the kids. Like, yeah, I mean, there's ways you can punish them and people get fired and people move on. but you don't. It's hard for me to justify taking away what happened on the field because you're already going to, trust me, you're going to inflict some damage with what I believe is coming on down the line, whether it be suspensions, whether it be fines, whether it be any of these other things. You're going to take them out of contention for a while if you truly mean it. With what you're doing, what you do in terms of these penalties. But that's my only pushback is, how far are you willing to go to take away anything this club's ever done? Because it's really hard for me when an entire group of people, and I know guilty by association's a thing. All right. I understand, this is why I don't really like what's his face? The basketball player from Bama, Brandon, plays for the Hornets. Brandon Miller. Yeah. This is why I don't really like that guy too much, because I felt like he was maybe not an accessory, but I felt like he was guilty by association with everything that went down in the college and what happened at Bama. And we don't have to get into that whole story, but the reality is guilty by association is a real thing. Ray Lewis is another good example. Like how he got out of what he got out of is because his name is Ray Lewis. Guilty by association is real. I mean, if you're around, if you're an accessory, if you're there, then yeah, you absolutely deserve what's coming to you. But I can't in good faith say that everybody at Chelsea was in on this and involved in this. There's a lot of shady backdoor things that go on that the majority of people that are in that club or playing for that club probably have no idea is actually happening. So that's where it becomes hard to me to be like, yeah, just strip all their titles away because, Johnny over here, like, yeah, he might not have been the most important player on the pitch or but he still impacted winning. Everybody impacts winning. And so that's where it's hard for me, Ryan.
Yeah, no, but I just think that with these key players, and how integral
it makes a difference. It makes a difference. Yeah, you're right.
I don't necessarily know if these players were, I mean, look, they're not going to go and steal their Premier League medals. They're not going to steal this. They're not going to steal that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you were legally buying players, and you were. It should at least be seen with an asterisk with everything that has gone on.
It's tainted, no doubt. It's tainted,
and we still haven't even gotten to the full extent of what has happened. But this is what.
Yeah, it's true.
This is what I'll say. You mentioned, you bring up a good point of they're going to be punished. Well, from what happened in 2021, they're still feeling the effects of that because that was a team back in 2020, 2021, that time frame. That team was still unbelievable. And then they couldn't re-sign their players. And guess what happened? They started to suck, and they've really kind of felt those effects ever since. And now with everything that is going on, I don't know if Todd Boehly kind of knew what was going on when he got there. Maybe this affects the Dodgers sucking for the rest of the time. That would be really awesome, just saying. But no, it just thinks when I'm looking at Chelsea, how good these players were and how big they were for their teams. If they knew or not, I mean, most likely, I highly doubt they knew what was going on. They probably knew everything with their agent. All they cared about were the bonuses. All they cared about was the salary and all that fun stuff. I don't really think a player knows about where all the money goes. I don't think that's on the top of their mind. All they care about is what they're taking home and then what they are paying their agent fees. That's kind of what I think goes on. That's again, I could be completely wrong on this stuff. I've never been in these conversations. But all I'll say is illegal players, you play them, you get stripped. You vacate wins. And that's the way it should go. Does it if you're a Chelsea fan, does it hurt your memory of, seeing your team lift the cups? No. You will always have that. It's not like this is wiped off from the face of the earth. It's not like Men in Black where they just go like this to every single person and just do that. No, you won't forget it. You'll still have all your DVDs or your YouTube videos or your videos of being at the game. You still will always have that. But the rest of the world will not think your titles are valid. So that's the only way.
Yeah. Well, I think we're already there, right? I think we're already there. Like, I don't know if people are necessarily going to respect what happened then. And you could make the same argument for Michigan, at least with some fan bases, like truly believe that, it wasn't legitimate. So they certainly have that dark cloud already hanging over their head. Now, again, like I said, this is me fighting against what I think the letter of the law is, which is I think ultimately if they if they want to make a just decision, I do think that they made an impact and they made a difference. It's no different than a college team or a college program playing ineligible players. I mean, even if you're not necessarily all that great, we saw that with Michigan State, how they got their 4 or 5 wins vacated over the course of a couple of years. I mean,
all this means is CMU has beat MSU the last time they played. That's all I know.
Let's go. But I mean, that's crazy. We still got 5 minutes until we hit the 10 o'clock hour, so we can try to fit in as much as this one, because I know we want to. We can bleed over a little bit if we want, but we were talking a little bit yesterday about the AFCON final and how Morocco has now been awarded the win. Senegal has been stripped of their title 3 months after everything that went down and after the fines and suspensions and all the penalties were handed out. I was cracking up big time at the comment section yesterday, and I think you saw one comment and I saw it too, and I think we both kind of laughed, but the phrase was Morocco won the AFCON final via email. And that's completely accurate, because that's exactly how it went down. And now we're hearing news from the CAF that apparently there is some there's trouble in paradise. They're battling legacy trust issues and integrity concerns following that controversial decision to strip Senegal of the 25 AFCON title and handing it to Morocco. They've acknowledged that those events have damaged their image and have highlighted lingering suspicions. Some of those suspicions we talked about yesterday of what's going on behind closed doors, despite defending the independence of the appeals body. Well, yeah, I mean, if you wait 3 months to take someone's title away after you already handed down all the fines and suspensions and everything else, yeah, sorry, I'm not going to trust you as a league. You know what I mean? If people backtracked and all of a sudden the NCAA is like, hey, now that we're at it, actually that 2023 national title doesn't count. Sorry, we're taking that away from you guys. There would naturally be some questions in my mind that would start to rise about what the hell is going on in those back rooms. If you're going to die on the hill of, well, this is the letter of the law, they left the pitch for 14 minutes, Again, you are not answering the main question that everybody wants you to answer. Why is it a problem now and it wasn't a problem then? And if the argument is courts move slowly, this doesn't seem like a court issue. You saw it in front of you. What levels of the court do you have to go through in order to make this happen? Was there a court case? Was there a court battle? Was there a defendant in all this? Because I don't know if you saw anything, Ryan. I didn't see anything about a court case going on surrounding Senegal being stripped of their title. Actually, this just kind of came out of nowhere. I was shocked the hell out of me when I pulled up the prep sheet yesterday, and I'm like, Senegal isn't what? Like, what do you mean? Like, I thought we already talked about all the things that have been handed down. So if that's where we're going to go with this, yeah, I mean, we talk about with Chelsea, like, you make your bed, you sleep in it. Well, the CAF, listen, if you're going to backtrack 3 months ago and not just strip a title and leave it vacant, but give it to the other guys who didn't earn it on the pitch. I mean, and can we really point fingers to one side or the other to be like, this side is innocent and this side is not? Like, all the different things that happened throughout the course of that game, that was just messy, right? Like, I don't, like, I made the analogy of two people fighting the other day. It's not like, you don't just, I don't know. If we're going to go by letter of the law, fine, but I think it's natural to have some trust issues.
Yeah, I just find it funny that now the president's like, yeah, there's like some trust issues now in the league. I feel like there's always been trust issues when it comes to the AFCON, really ever since 2010 South Africa. I'm sure they probably got the bid in like 2006 accepted. I imagine that's usually how that works. No, probably 2002, because USA got it in 2018. So probably 2002 is when they got the bid. So, because there's so much you got to plan, and especially for some of these countries, you have to build stadiums. Like, you don't have the infrastructure. Whereas the U.S., you already have it. The way is, like, Russia had it. Like, you think Russia would have some stadiums. No, that's not the case. Anyway, I would say, I just find it
a lot of rinks.
What'd you say?
A lot of rinks.
A lot of rinks. We can play soccer games on ice. We can play we can play the indoor soccer in a World Cup in Russia. We had no issues. But no, I just would say, like, it just feels that this is ironic. This is an ironic statement of, oh, now I just feel like there's some trust issues now. Well, look, I think there's always been some trust issues when it comes to the CAF.
Yeah.
I just think there always
It's like
has.
FIFA coming out and being like, people don't trust us. It's like,
Well,
yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
you've had it's like the NCAA saying that too. Well, there's a history of all this happening. But
yeah.
I just think like this whole situation should have never happened in the first place. It's should Senegal have walked off the field? Probably not. But at the same time, the referee should have nipped it in the butt right then and there. He said, "Well, you
Yeah.
just forfeit the game. You guys all just walked off the field." Maybe the ref. Now I'm saying it out loud. Maybe the referee did a good thing because I think if he said the game was forfeited right then and there, maybe more chaos
Yeah.
would have ensued. To be honest
Yeah.
with you, Nate, maybe
Right.
it was a good thing the game kept going
That's
on.
fair.
But if
Yeah,
that's the
I'll give you
rule,
that.
then nip in the butt right then and there. Why do we have to wait 3
Yeah.
months to figure this out? Why didn't they just nip
Right.
in the butt right then on the field? Because everyone walked off the field, 14 minutes. You know what? Let's just call the game right then and there.
Right.
Like that's got to
Yeah.
be the case, but they didn't do that, and then they won the game on the field. So I mean, I understand why the title's being stripped because of the whole thing, but you're right.
Mhm.
Why did it take so long to figure this out? How much money was Morocco spending on this? I don't know. But just to say,
Yeah.
like, well, now there's some trust issues and all that fun stuff. But this is one of the quotes that the president Mostepe said. He said it undermines the good work that CAF has done over many, many years to ensure that there's integrity, there's respect, ethics, government, as well as credibility of the results of our football matches. We are still dealing with suspicion and mistrust. It's a legacy issue. When I became president, one of the major concerns was about integrity, independence, and the respect of referees and match commissioners, and a lot of good work has been done, but this hurts a lot. I mean, this is what happens with respect. Happens with
Yeah.
trust. You can build up 10 years of respect and trust, but one one incident like this ruins all that
Yep.
reputation. And that's
Mhm.
that's kind of what I feel like what Africa has done, the CAF has done since, the whole 2010 saga, because there was a whole bunch of issues with that too. I feel like they've done a really good job of trying to keep it in integrity, keep that integrity in the game, but this just
Yeah.
ruins it all, I would say.
Well, and for owners and commissioners, like, you just have to realize, like, all the good little things you do, yeah, people I'm sure are appreciative of it, but everyone's going to remember you for the boneheaded things that you do.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to remember for the stupid stuff that you do. And when I think of stupid stuff, this really seems kind of stupid, in my
It's very
opinion.
stupid,
Like,
I
I
would
feel
say.
like there should be some human, like, mixed into this. I talked about human earlier. It's like, okay, they walked off the field for 14 minutes. It also looked like the pitch was about to be overran. So I mean, like, can we maybe factor that in? Like, again, why is it a problem now and it wasn't a problem then? Like, it just seems like a no duh kind of comment to say people don't trust us. Well, yeah, naturally, dude. Yeah, people are pissed, and so I don't think it's ridiculous. The only thing that I'm a little nervous about is we play that Senegalese club. So yeah, they're gonna be pissed off when they play.
Yeah,
us.
I
So
was
let's
when I
hope
made
that,
the video, I
ugh.
was literally about to go work out, and I was like, "Oh wow, this really just happened." So I just make the video. As I'm posting, I'm like, "I think we play Senegal here in a little bit." And I was like, "That's not going to be good." It was almost. So I said this back in sophomore year of college when the MSU shooting was happening, and I was like, "Man, I feel really bad for the next team that Michigan State has to play in basketball." I'm like, I wonder who it is. I look at my phone, I go, "Oh man, that's Michigan. That's not good."
Yeah, which that was an emotional game. That was
Michigan
it's
did
cool
win,
to see the
though.
two fan bases come together. They did. Yeah, that was the Hunter Dickinson was there at that time. So
Kobe
he's in the G
Buffkin,
League now. I just
all
missed
those
out
guys.
on Hunter Dickinson.
Jet
Yeah,
Howard.
but
You know what I found really corny? The other day,
What's
because
that?
I follow Hunter Dickinson on Instagram. He posted his box score on his Instagram story for like whatever G League game he was in. I was like, dude, that's so corny, man. That's so corny.
yeah,
Hey-
who is he playing for in the G League right now? I don't even know.
It's it'd be the Pelicans affiliate, I would think, because I've seen him.
Oh,
on the Pelicans.
really?
He has played in an
Oh,
NBA
okay.
game this year, believe it or not.
Okay, all right.
So
Okay.
you know
Alright.
how you liked the tie-in to the Bayern Munich one?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a record-breaking moment yesterday regarding Robert Lewandowski. 41 goals scored, or he has scored against 41 different teams now in the Champions League. He had Newcastle to his hit list yesterday. So why don't you tell us about Barcelona Academy? And he's on the screen. How about that?
And if you want to be like Robert, here's where you do it. Barca Academy, proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network and the official academy of FC Barcelona and our favorite Polak in the United States. Designed for boys and girls ages 6 to 18, Barca Academy camps follow and replicate the FC Barcelona game model. Same philosophy used by Barca's professional coaching staff. And right now you can save $30 on registration by using promo code FCB30. Again, that's FCB30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you at fcbarcelona.us/camps.
In Barca camp, I see my son grown on and off of the field. Don't miss the time to register.
Sign up now for Barca camp.
The National Soccer Network presents the MLS and WMLIS Finals weekend. 8 teams battling for a championship at the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Don't miss the excitement March 28th and 29th as the top indoor soccer teams compete for the title. Watch every match live and exclusively on the National Soccer Network.
I would be really energetic and optimistic coming back from break, but unfortunately the thing we're about to talk about is not a very energetic or optimistic thing at all. Ryan, I know I've talked to you about this, and I'm kind of undergoing a renaissance in my life right now. I like to believe, I'm trying to attack life with more of a positive attitude, look at the brighter side of things. I owe the government $2,700, but that's okay because life is good and life moves on. And so I'm trying my best to do what I need to do to be more of a positive person. All right. Cause I don't like being critical. I think, it's easy to get angry at everything in life, but that doesn't really do you any favors. It just makes your life shorter. Right. So I know I talked to you jokingly about this. I'm like, as long as you keep your expectations in life on the floor, nothing ever disappoints you. Right. Because then you just expect disappointment around every corner, and anything that happens is better than where that bar was set. That's not a good way to live. And you were right. It's not a good way to live. I know you said that once upon a time, and you're right. You're 100% correct.
Glass half empty type of guy.
However, I'm not. I'm trying not to be. But anyways, on the other side of that, when it comes to your sports teams, that might actually kind of be a good way to live if you're a Detroit sports fan. Keep your expectations in the basement, and then anything else beyond that, again, is good. That's just extra, because we can't have anything in Detroit. We simply cannot have a single damn thing, because the minute any of our teams start doing well, it happens, and it's the one thing you can't get away from in sports, in its injuries. The Lions, okay, they choked away the second half against the Niners. Sure, that was their game. That was their game to win. That was their moment. But the following year, I mean, I've never seen in my life so many practice squad players get actual game opportunities than that Lions team. The fact that they were able to crawl their way into the playoffs, let alone be in the position to actually win a game. I know it was a shootout, but they were still very much in that game. is just mind-boggling to me. But that entire season was derailed because we were the most injury-prone team in the National Football League. And I know you pulled up a list of examples, but I'm the one that we're going to talk about right now is Cade Cunningham and his collapsed lung. Will be out 3 to 6 weeks here for the Pistons. Obviously, we know the playoffs coming up mid-April. And a collapsed lung is scary because it's tough to get back to full strength and full health when we're talking about the lungs. Like that's a different story. It could very well be 6, if not more weeks. But Ryan, let's get into the list of examples that you have about why we can't have anything in Detroit, because I firmly believe it. And this is just, this sucks.
This also goes back
to sum it up
to Michigan and Michigan State athletics as well. So let's talk about it. It's a sad day here in Detroit, but let's go with Detroit first, and then I'll get into college athletics. So, Lions season, the best season in franchise history, the 15-2 season. It starts off with Aiden Hutchinson dying. His leg just breaks in two.
Yeah.
Then we have Carlton Davis. Oh, yeah, you're going to be out for a long time too. Oh, that's great. Aleem McNeil. He also, best defensive tackle. He's out for a long time. David Montgomery. Oh, wow, you're going to be hurt. And then we're going to play you a lot in the divisional game. Wow, even though you're hurt. Let's see. Anzalone was out for a long time with a forearm. I think, wasn't Terrion Arnold out for a while? Then you think of the linebackers. Derek Barnes died. Malcolm Rodriguez died. Offensively, they were fine for whatever reason outside of David Montgomery. I don't know why. But defensively, that entire defensive line died. That entire linebacking core died. That entire cornerback died, right? That's just the Lions, right? Okay. So, Pistons best season in 15, 20 years probably. Our superstar dies. Okay? That sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Red Wings, their best season in a decade. Wait, you mean the captain just died and then our second center just dies? So that all happens. And then we get, I know I always clown Michigan State about this, but I would have really liked to see them in the tournament, see what they could have done. But Michigan State's best team of winning a national championship in 20 years. Oh, wait, let's just throw COVID on top of that. Okay. So you can't even play in the tournament. Okay. No one dies. Okay. Michigan basketball. Their best chance of a national championship in 2021. Right before their best chance to win a title in a couple of years. To be honest with you, I didn't think that 2018 team was they were just more of a team of destiny, and they got a good luck with the draw. But I thought that Michigan basketball team in 2021 with Isaiah Livers, Hunter Dickinson, best chance of winning a championship in a decade. Wait, your starting three, one of your leading scorers, he's going to die right before the tournament starts. He's going to die. Okay? Michigan basketball, this might be the best basketball team I've ever seen in Michigan basketball history. Wait, your best three-point shooter and your sixth man, he's going to die right before the tournament starts too. What do we have to do in order to win something? Oh, wait. Before we get that, Michigan football, I know they won a national championship, but their All-American offensive guard dies in the Ohio State game. But they still win the national championship, but, he died. What does Michigan what does the city of Detroit, the state of Michigan, have to do in order to win something significant, to win a championship? Hell, even win a playoff series, because we know we can't even do that with the Pistons and the Red Wings. When was the last time the Pistons won a playoff series? Oh, wait, I'll tell you. 2007. When was the last time the Red Wings won a playoff series? I think 2013. I think maybe 2012. Yeah, everyone significant. All of our stars just get hurt. The Lions, best season in franchise history. The entire defense dies. What does the city of Detroit have to do to make sure they're full strength heading into a playoffs, or the University of Michigan or the Michigan State University have to do to be full strength or even have a tournament when they're at their best? What do we have to do? Because every single time somebody significant gets hurt, it's now Cade. We've lost Larkin. I wouldn't be surprised if Riley Green goes down or Tarek Skubal goes down this season for the Tigers. Aiden Hutchinson dies in our best season ever, Isaiah Livers dies in Michigan's best season in a decade, then the best Michigan basketball team of all time, guess what? You're without your best three-point shooter heading into the tournament. And then you look at the other side with Michigan State. Oh, your best team in 20 years? Yeah, we're not even going to have a tournament. What do we have to do to have something in Detroit? Because we can't have shit.
Can't have anything nice. You know my favorite part of the all the Lions injuries, and we were talking about that. Some people in this is so what's so funny about Lions Reddit, or even Lions Twitter, like it is a very interesting place to be a part of, and that's why I love Twitter now, because all these these deranged Lions fans who have had to deal with this BS for forever now have the ability to like share all their opinions online. And then not now, I mean, they have been, but it's just the funniest space to be a part of. But I love it when people were like, yeah, they're going too hard. They're playing too hard. That's why they're getting hurt.
Yeah,
I'm
that's the reason.
Please never watch football again. Please just do us a favor. Okay. Go watch cricket. Okay. I just stop. No, it's something you can't control. It's something in the universe. It's energies. Listen, I believe in energies, right? I believe in spirits, but I think we have to do something else other than breaking the curse of Bobby Lane with like whiskey in a bathtub on the like that's okay.
With Peyton
that's
Manning and...
that's fun. I like it, man. I like the idea. Also, what the hell does Peyton Manning have to do with it? I mean, I guess it's just Peyton Manning. He's just the face of everything. But I find it weird that the guy who beat the hell out of the Lions every time he played him is the guy that's trying to break the curse of Bobby Lane.
It'd be funny if
but we
got to
do something. We got to do something more dramatic than that. This has got to be like a whole city involved thing to break the curse of Detroit sports, because, you know, even in our period of sports where it's like, okay, this is like, I know we started talking about the Renaissance and how all the different teams are starting to kind of build up at the same exact time. But even when they do, they fall flat on their face when it matters the most. You know, the Wings in March is like watching, it's not paint dry. It's something more menacing than watching paint dry. It's horrifying. Paint dry is
not like terrifying. It's just boring.
It's not terrifying. It's just
the March
boring.
collapses are never boring. It's just like, I don't know.
It's like watching a car crash that you know is about to happen, but you're like, you're obviously you're helpless to stop it. You know, you just you see it happening before it happens. That's what it feels like watching the Wings around this time of year. You know, and then obviously the Pistons losing their best player. We saw what they were doing this regular season. Now it all just falls down the shitter right at the end of the year. Everything that you're talking about, I don't know, man. It's going to have to be a collective effort to try and break this curse just on the city of Detroit or on the state of Michigan. Because I mean, we're all just holding on to that national championship if we're on that side of the aisle. Who I feel worse for, though, and it's tough to feel bad for a group of people that really don't like you in return. But man, MSU fans have had it rough the last couple of years.
Ever since 2020,
man,
since 2019, where Matt McQuaid decided to airball the day that happiness died for Michigan State fans was, I would probably say, when they beat Zion Williamson, because ever since then, they really haven't had much. I mean, sure, they won a Big Ten title last year. They still have a good team, but like most of them are probably Lions, Pistons, Red Wings, and Tigers fans. I know there's probably a couple Michigan State Packers fans, but again, there ain't much to cheer about that. But you think about it, the Packers and the Lions have had heartbreaking losses in the playoffs. You think of Jordan Love against the Niners. Think of Jordan Love against the Bears this year, where Caleb Williams just turned superhuman. And then you just think like, well, I mean, the Tigers choke, 2 Game 5s, blunders. You think Red Wings haven't made the playoffs. You think the Pistons, well, oh my God. They didn't even have Beef Stew for the playoff series last year. He was hurt. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Man, this is just... Because, like, again, I still didn't think the Pistons would ever make the finals. I still never thought that. I thought, you know what, they would probably lose in the Eastern Conference Finals. But now, they'll still win a playoff series. They still will. They're too good. But I just think they'll lose in the second round. Because now I think, because you look at the NBA standings, I think they're like 4 games up from the Celtics or something now. I still think they probably fall to like a 2 seed now. I think they do. I think they'll probably fall to a 2 seed, maybe a 3. But I think that second round they're losing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It hurts, and that is I guess we try our best to give out breaking news as it happens on this show. So good catch by you and seeing that one. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard. So we'll keep crossing our fingers and hope that maybe that changes here at some point. But let's get into our next topics on the other side of this break. We're going to talk a little bit about today, one of the best days of the year here in the United States. It is the start of March Madness. We get into the other top 5 days of the year. Ryan and I will break down our other top 5s, but before we get to that point, let's tell you a little bit about Man City Soccer Camps. They're a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, bringing world-class training inspired by Man City's global football philosophy to players across the United States. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels, these camps focus on technical development, decision-making, and playing the game the City way. Right now, you can save $30 on registration. Use promo code MCNSN30. Again, that's MCNSN30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you, usacamps.mancity.com. Back in live, you're on Inside the Game, trying to lighten the mood up a little bit, talking about Cade Cunningham being out with a collapsed lung. So now we're going to bring the smiles and the energy and the sunshine. All right, we're going to bring the rainbows back. Let's talk about our top 5 days of all time. Today is the start of March Madness. I already got people texting me asking if I'm going to be watching some of the games. Of course I am. I'm going to be locked in on all that. So watching some of those, hopefully maybe stop by a restaurant and just hang out once I get all my stuff done for the day. But let's get into our top 5. Ryan, we can go 5 to 1 if you want. You said these could be sports, but it also could be non-sports. So it's just top 5 days of the year in general. So go ahead with the start of your number 5.
Okay, number 5. Let's see. I think I haven't really thought about my list. It's a funny thing. I only did like 2 or 3 days that I think are truly truly the best.
So you gotta dig into the bag here to
I
figure
would
it
say
out.
number 5. It is a sports related thing, but anytime I get to tailgate on a fall, crisp Saturday morning, anytime, because like even if it was for Central, even if it was for Michigan, but waking up early at 7 in the morning, flip on the Prem a little bit while you're eating some breakfast, drinking some beers, because you ain't drinking water at that point in time. You're just drinking beer at that point. You get that, then you get into the tailgate spot. You hang out with some family, you eat some food. That's fantastic. That's number 5, I think, on the list, 100%. I think number 4, I think any beach day or boat day, I think any time where you're on the water is unbelievable. Right. I think.
Do you have a cottage? Does your family have a cottage? No. You keep bringing up the water.
Lake. Oh, okay. I live by a lake.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
I live by a lake. So number 4 would have to be a boat day or a beach day. I think it's unbelievable. Right. Just being out on the water. I just feel closer to God that day. Just feel closer to God. That's what my dad says. I just had to say that. The third day, the third day, of the year, I think, would have to be. Oops, that could be bad. The third day, I think college football, the first college football Saturday. There's just like an aura about college football Saturday. I think it's just, I don't know, the first Saturday of college football. I don't know why. There's like a weird aura. Like, it just kind of feels like the unofficial ending of summer and you start the fall and kind of like the best time of the year in terms, not the week 0. I'm talking week 1, like where the big teams are actually playing. I think there's just an aura about that Saturday of like that, kind of like that whole weekend, because, you know, some people play on Friday, some big teams play on that Friday, and then everyone kind of plays that Saturday, and then that Sunday, some people play on that Monday. But, like, no, I think really just that Saturday, there's just like, there's just a weird aura, I guess. Number 2, because I know what number 1 is. Number 1 is the Thursday and Friday of March Madness. You're telling me 16 games? You're telling me 16 games the whole week? Oh, number 2, 4th of July. 4th of July, number 2. 4th of July. I don't know how I forgot about that. 4th of July. I know you can kind of say, oh, it's a boat day. It's a beach day. Well, sometimes I'm not on the boat or on the lake on 4th of July. Sometimes I'm just in the pool having a good time, just drinking all day. Just as, I don't like Kid Rock, but, like, I like his song where he's like, I'm just sitting there wasting time. That's basically what I'm doing on the 4th of July. Just sitting in a raft, some sunglasses. I got a drink in my hand. I'm just looking up, and I'm just kind of like sleeping, but I'm there and just wasting time that day. 4th of July has got to be number 2. But number 1 is got to be March Madness. These 16 games on today, even though I won't even get to watch really any of them. But then 16 games tomorrow. I think it's unbelievable. I even think the round of 32 is underrated as well. You still have 8 games on each day, and I think that the matchups are even better on those round of 32 games anyway, because you have the better teams. You don't have one playing 16. You have a 1 versus an 8-9, and anything can happen in those games. But those are my top 5 days of all time. What's yours, Nate?
So number 5, we're gonna go with that random day you call in on a Friday. And it ends up giving you that extended weekend. That's always one of the top days of the year in my mind. Now, I got multiple of try not to go multiple of those days throughout the course of the year, but I'll actually say this. I'll say it this way because I don't really call in a lot. I'll go game that gets canceled on like a Sunday in minor league baseball, right? So that gives me Sunday, all day Sunday, and all day Monday because we have designated off days on Monday. But a postponement or a cancellation that gives you the extended weekend. But also the random call-in works at the same exact time. Although I try not to do that nearly as much. But if you can give yourself that extended weekend, I'll go with that one at number 5. Number 4 on my list, I got to go with 4th of July. Now, for a couple of different reasons. Number 1, if I have a game, there's a pretty good chance that's going to be our biggest crowd of the year. And 10,000 people packed into LMCU Ballpark is pretty freaking cool. We're going to have the best fireworks display there is. Everybody's out and about. Everybody's having a fun time. Pretty good chance we're going to have our red, white, and blue alternative uniforms, which are just sick. And generally speaking, we've played some pretty competitive, fun games on the 4th of July too. So even if I have a game, it's everything. Everyone's out and about. Everyone's having fun. Everyone's wearing their colors. It's freaking cool. But if I'm not there, I'm at the cottage, or I'm up in Traverse City or I'm somewhere else. It's just something about 4th of July, especially in the state of Michigan. Like Michigan's one of the more underrated states in the union simply because we have half of the year where it's like, don't come here. It's -14 and you can't feel your face. But then the other half of the year, there's a reason why Traverse City has more billionaires per capita than anywhere else in the United States. And it's because of that. It's because that's what Michigan during the summer is. So 4th of July is always, it has to be a top 5 at the very least. Number 3. So this is kind of a unique one. It's not a set day in the state of Michigan, but it can vary. But Defrost Day. Now, what is Defrost Day? Defrost Day is the first time that it hits either 60 or above in the state. You talked about how during the 4th of July when you're out on the lake or just a lake day that you feel closer to God. Well, that day reminds me that there is a God. When I can step outside and I don't feel like, oh my God, why did my parents decide to raise me here? Anywhere else in the United States it could have chosen, they chose here. So that day reminds me that there's a God because I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty nice. And you're reminded as to actually how many people live around you. Because you're like, I didn't know there were this many people that lived in my city, but now they're just not afraid to come outside anymore. So I'll go with Defrost Day at number 3. Number 2 on my list has to be Thanksgiving. There are I mean, outside, okay, you got Fat Tuesday, right? So that's a
Do
day
you
where,
participate in Fat Tuesday?
I'm not Catholic, so I don't really abide by the calendar. But I mean, my family does, and obviously with being in the area we are, I mean, it's very we're in the Bible Belt, technically. So like, there's a lot of that going on, and so I'll still participate. Do I do all that other stuff? No, but I still eat a punchki. You don't have to prompt me to do that.
Do you think punchkis are good?
I think they're great if you get the
Wow.
right one. You
Wow.
don't like them? You don't like
Punchkis
them?
are ass.
What? Okay, hold on. I'll get to
Punchkis
number
are
one here in a
ass.
second, but we got to talk about this. Why? What
Because
flavor
they don't
punchkis are you
taste like
eating?
anything.
It's a jelly-filled donut, dude.
It is ass, my guy. I haven't had one
It's a
since middle
jelly-filled
school. I
donut.
tried it one time, and I'm like,
Okay, that's your
This-
problem.
this
What
is
flavor
terrible.
did you have? What flavor did you
I
have?
don't remember. It was ass. There's jelly, and it was trash. Punchkis
Okay,
are
well,
trash, my guy.
Doug,
and everyone,
you got it.
And a lot of people will agree. Punchkis are trash.
you
I
like-
tried it in middle school. I'm like, dude, I would have rather just had a donut.
You're not actually Polish, dude. I don't
No,
I don't believe it, man. I
My
mean,
family
like,
believes punchkis are
oh,
trash too.
oh,
So
I'm okay. So if you had a prune punchki, absolutely, that would probably ruin the hell out of it. Do you like jelly-filled donuts? If I were to
don't-
hand you
don't
a
eat
jelly-filled donut?
donuts on the regular, so I couldn't answer that question for you.
You should be a police officer. Then you would love jelly-filled donuts, and then you would probably change your mind on this. So
I don't want to
go
I don't
from
wanna
sports and be in the
consume- I don't
police.
want to consume 300 calories of just straight sugar and straight
That's-
fat at 7.
But
in
that's
the
why
morning.
it's called Fat Tuesday, man. That's the whole
That's
point.
like 800
you know?
calories right then and there. That's like 1,000 calories right there. No,
No, I think it is
punchkis
1,000.
are trash.
Yeah, easily. All right, man. I mean, what? Of all the things we would choose to disagree on this show, it's not Tarek Skubal or anything sports related.
It's punchkis, because
We're
punchkis
gonna
are trash.
yell about punchkis. You tried it
They
one
taste like
time.
nothing.
Do you like cherries?
No, I don't really like cherries. I like cherry
What-
flavored
what
things,
fruit-
but I don't like cherries.
What fruit do you like?
Strawberries,
you like.
pineapple, blueberries aren't
so-
bad. Watermelon's fine.
Okay, you like blueberries. All right, so what about a blueberry punchki?
No, I don't like blueberry flavor. I don't like no. Punchki. You could put my favorite things together and put it in a punchki, and I'd be like, this is trash. Punchkis are just sugar and dough that tastes like nothing. That's basically what
Ryan?
it is.
Ryan is the king of trying things once and then being like, I'm never going to do this again for the remainder
Because
of my
if
life.
it's trash, it's trash, and punchkis are trash.
Same with baseball, man. He tried that once and he was like, I don't ever want to do this ever again. I had fun, but that's it. I'm done. I'm checked out. All right, let's get number 2 on my list is Thanksgiving. The reason being, again, there's no other holiday outside of maybe Fat Tuesday if you observe that where you are promoted to eat as much as possible. And I got to give a shout out to my family specifically, my mom's side. They actually do pretty damn well when it comes to Thanksgiving. I mean, they got all the things. They typically have a lot left over. Is the way to go. Is food coma territory is Thanksgiving. Number 1 on my list. It will always be number 1. And even the older I get, the more difficult it becomes, the more it drains my bank account every time we get to that time of year, the more that everything slows down and it just feels like money is flying out of the door. Nothing feels better than getting something meaningful for someone or getting something meaningful. And I'm sure I've yet to debut what I got on this day on the podcast, but maybe I'll pick one of these days coming up. It's got to be Christmas, man. Christmas has to be number 1. And I know I'm not including March Madness in this. I didn't want to include it in my list simply because we already talked about how it's one of the best days. So I thought that would work in the other 5. And Christmas probably isn't the most exciting answer at number 1, but it's gotta be Christmas, man. But I will say, I feel like the magic of Christmas has kind of gone away with how expensive life is getting, and like the Black Friday deals are not actual true Black Friday deals anymore. It's like buy one pair of something and get like $5 off. It's like, what does $5 do for me? Like, it doesn't do shit. So deals are becoming less and less. I feel like companies are giving less and less of a break to consumers, especially when it comes to these things, but you still gotta buy stuff. So, but anyways, Christmas has got to be number 1. Ain't no way Christmas ain't number 1.
I
No
thought
way.
you would have chose something different as number 1. I thought you would have gone opening day.
Oh, opening day's fun, but I mean, here's the tricky thing about opening day. You also realize as a broadcaster, you realize it's the opening of 132. So it's like, it's fun for like the fan and the viewer, like, oh, baseball's back. But at the same time, for me, it's like, baseball's back, and I'm going to be busy.
I thought you would have gone
I'm going
with
to be busy.
An opening day for the Tigers, because that's like a holiday here in Michigan is opening day for the Tigers.
I will say opening day in 2021 in minor league baseball was really fun, not only because we had Torkelson on our team, but also because that was the first time fans were allowed back in the stadium. So that was, I mean, in terms of like individual days, that was a really fun one to remember. So I was in the booth for that one. And obviously we had Torque for like 2 weeks, I think, and then he was gone. So it didn't last very long, obviously, because Avila was trying to save his own ass. But no, opening day is always fun. I don't know. I was trying to take a couple, really take a deep dive into this, but it's also a reminder. It gets kind of like a back to school vibe, because not only do you have the baseball, but you also think about the World Cup
every single day for the remainder.
It's not too bad
for 5 months or 6 months, whatever it is.
Right. That's the life of it. But I mean, soccer is even a longer season in that way. And I've talked to Neil about
you don't
that.
Play every
so
day,
if I ever, yep. But it is drawn out for sure. But anyways, so those are our top 5 days. Let us know. I mean, who are you picking? Who do you see going deep into the tournament? We just made all of our picks. And I know we wanted to talk a little bit about what we chose in terms of our selections. I think you'll be a little bit surprised here, Ryan. I'm really high on the one team out of the MAC that we've been talking about a little bit recently. I feel good about them. I know they disappointed, and that's Miami of Ohio, but I got them going pretty far in my bracket. Is it ridiculous to think? Yes, but that's why it's madness, and that's why we talk about it. That's coming up next on Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill that came like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Getting into our final topic here on Inside the Game, episode 253, our penultimate episode here of this week. That's our word of the day, by the way, penultimate. It means second to last. I actually learned that one. I use it so much. It's my favorite word ever just because it makes me sound smart on broadcast.
Penultimate?
So I always like using penultimate. Yes.
It's second to last?
Second to last. So it's not the final, it's the penultimate.
So
before the ultimate.
When you're broadcasting baseball, we're down to our penultimate out of the game.
Penultimate inning in this 9-inning showdown. Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it goes into extras.
And then it goes into extras, and then I look like an idiot. Yeah, but that's the life, I guess, in the world of broadcasting.
So then
go ahead.
You could start a soccer game off with the penultimate half, because it's the second to last half.
That's true. That would just sound a little weird, I guess, because saying penultimate when you still have 90 minutes, 90 plus in front of you is probably not the way to go. But yeah, no, you're right. Aforementioned is also another one that I like using. That's another, mentioned to you before someone else. And so anyways, that's it. Not regardless. Let's get into March Madness here a little bit. We've made our selections. We've made our predictions. I don't know how we want to necessarily approach this. We can just talk about maybe what our strategy was, but I know you've made your picks and who your champion's going to be.
Let's start with Cinderella's first, and then we'll end with
a little
Final Four, and then we'll go
let's
champions.
do it.
So,
all right,
what's your Cinderella?
Let's do you want to go? Well, do you want to go region by region, and we'll select who our biggest upset is in each region?
Let's do that. Let's do that.
All right. Let's start off in the East, and I don't have a whole lot of reasons behind these. I just kind of, at random, I'm just throwing darts at the dartboard for a lot of this. This is the right strategy. But anyways, go ahead.
I would say out of the East, I think UCLA upsets UConn, but I know that's not really a Cinderella. But I think USF can make a run. I think they got a luck with Mikael Brown being out for Louisville. Then you look at the 3 seed, Michigan State. They haven't played particularly well down the stretch. So
Yep.
I could see them for sure making a run. I think UConn is vulnerable as the 2. And I also think UCLA upsets them anyway. And I think UCLA in the Sweet 16 with USF could be interesting. But I think USF is kind of in a really good spot to make a run in the East.
Wow, look at you and me. I picked USF over Louisville. And then I did pick Michigan State over them in the second round. So I do have MSU going fairly far. Matter of fact, all the way.
But I think they're set up to make a. I think they're set up to make a run though.
I do. I believe so too. But I have UCLA beating UCF. I have UCLA beating UConn. So I have the rematch of the Big Ten tournament game between Michigan State and UCLA in what would be the Elite Eight. The Sweet 16. So do have that matchup. Advancing out of the East, I have at the end of the day, I have Duke. That's probably not a big one, but yeah, I guess my Cinderella in all this would probably be Southern Florida. The only thing is I don't have them beating Michigan State. But how about the South?
The South, my Cinderella. Where's that at? South. Okay, my Cinderella. So I do have Troy beating Nebraska in the first round, but I don't see that. I don't see them going past the round of 32. I think with Nebraska being, 0-5 against tournament teams in the last 5. They've played horrible down the stretch. But I will say my Cinderella is in this region is VCU. I think they got a break with Caleb Wilson being out for UNC. And Illinois, they're another team, 1-7, I think, against tournament teams. And VCU, another tournament team. And Illinois is just this weird, they had this weird allergy of being allergic to the Sweet 16 in the second weekend. So I could see them being as a 3 seed. Another Big Ten team goes down. But no, that's who I have making a deep run as a Cinderella in the South.
So I don't have them making a deep run necessarily. I have them winning one game, which I don't think would necessarily make them a Cinderella. Maybe I'll switch it around, but I do have Virginia Commonwealth beating North Carolina in the first round. I think NC is fraudulent, and we've seen that a lot throughout the course of the year. So I think they're one of my lower seeds. I have them playing Illinois in the second round. I have Illinois winning that game. I also, just because I was listening a little bit yesterday, I think Vanderbilt could have been a much higher seed. So I was going to initially pick McNeese in that matchup, but I changed that one around to pick Vanderbilt in that one. I think the biggest shocker here, and I don't know if it's necessarily a Cinderella, I just think they're a good team that's never been good in the tournament, but I do have Nebraska going to the Sweet 16. Now, I have them losing to Florida in the Sweet 16. I should probably go back and pick some other ones that are like my numbers, but I got Nebraska going to the Sweet 16 in that one. What about the West?
The West. So, again, I don't really have any double-digit upsets happening at all, to be honest with you. But I will say I think there's 2 teams that could potentially make a run into the Elite 8. And one of them, BYU, AJ DeBonsta, you're always going to have a chance. I think Gonzaga's frauds, and I think that number 2 seed, Purdue, are frauds. So I think that sets them up really nicely in that one. And then we go to, then I can also see a Miami or a Missouri making a run into the Elite 8 as well, because Purdue is frauds and Gonzaga is frauds. So that's I'm looking at both of that 2 seed and that 3 seed in that region. I think both of those 2 and 3 seeds are frauds. So then I look at what is the 6, the 7, or the 10, the 11? Can they make a run? And I think BYU, I think they beat Texas anyway. And I know Miami's virtually playing a road game with Missouri here tomorrow. I can see Missouri or BYU making a run. I don't know if that classifies as a Cinderella because it's still a Power 4 school and it's still a single digit, but that would be my Cinderella if there is one.
I have Missouri advancing out of the game against Miami, and then I have Missouri beating Purdue in the second round. So I agree. I think Purdue is fraudulent. It's cool to see Queens, the team out of North Carolina, make it. I think that's their first time ever making it.
Yeah,
so
it is.
That's really cool. I don't have any huge upsets. I thought about High Point in Hawaii. I didn't really see that happening. What I will say, and I know this isn't our Cinderella, so maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here. I do have BYU going to the Final Four. So that I
Really?
do have. Yes, I do. I think, not just the Bansta, but I just think something tells me that the Cougars got a lot in the tank. And that I have them going against Michigan in that Final Four. So they're kind of like my ride or die team. If BYU shits the bed in the first round, it's may as well throw out the bracket at that point. So yep, I got them advancing to that point. And now the one that obviously that we're paying attention to the most, the Midwest.
I would say I have a MAC school, but it ain't Miami, Ohio. I think Akron
Really?
and Hofstra are in a perfect storm right now. I think
Akron's
both,
really good. Yeah.
I think both of those programs are in a fantastic spot right now. Why do I say that? Well, Texas Tech, JT Topper, they beat Iowa State without him. Well, look it, man. Different game. Anything can happen. It's March. But you also got to factor in Christian Anderson. I don't know how healthy that kid is. I don't know if he's 100%. JT Toppin's out. Then you look at the Alabama, their second leading scorer in that sidebar, and Aiden Holloway. Clearly, a lot of people thought, you know what, he's going to make it. I don't think he is going to make it. So you take the potentially two of the top players on Texas Tech, one of the best players in Alabama. They're all out. So, and these two teams have great guards, Hofstra and Akron, great guards all over the place. I could see them making it into a Sweet 16. Then they run into Michigan. I don't think they win, but I think in the Sweet 16, those guys can make a run into the Sweet 16. I look at Miami, Ohio. They are set up to be a Cinderella. They are 100% up to be a Cinderella because they chuck up a ton of threes. They take a lot of risks defensively. So they could, look, Miami could lose by 30, but they could win by 30. There's no in between with this team. That's just the way I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't see Miami, Ohio getting into the second weekend. I think of more of Hofstra and Akron making it to the second weekend.
Yeah. In that region, I have, you know how I feel about Michigan. I got them going pretty far. In terms of upsets, I have both MAC schools actually advancing out of the first round, both Akron and Miami of Ohio. I got Akron losing to Bama, so I got Bama in a couple of rounds. They would end up facing off against Michigan in what would be the Sweet 16. Do have Miami of Ohio beating Tennessee, then I have them beating Virginia to get into the Sweet 16. So I'm taking a risk there and saying Miami of Ohio will make a run too. Beyond that point, both MAC schools bow out. I think Bama beats Akron, and also on the other side, I think Iowa State. I think they're a little bit more slept on than what people are giving them credit for. So I think they'll beat Miami of Ohio in that game. But no, I have both the MAC schools advancing out, and yeah, Akron's dangerous in a lot of ways. So, yeah, that's kind of a look at mine and yours. But let's get into let's set up what will your Final Four be? What will your championship game be? Who's your winner? And then give me a final score.
So my Final Four: Houston, Arizona. Then I have Michigan and Duke. I got those four. Then I got, Duke and then Arizona in the championship game. Arizona wins it. I forgot what I put as my tiebreaker, but that'll probably be in the 70s. I'll go exact 78-74. The Wildcats get it done. I actually had to think for a second if the Duke was Wildcats because there's so many mascots as Wildcats. And I was like, well, what do you mean the Wildcats are going to win it? So, no, I will go Arizona wins it all. I just think that they're a little bit more complete. I think the LJ Kaysen thing for Michigan when they play, I think they'd play in the Final Four. I don't know. I just think it would take a little bit out of them. I think that second unit is what made Michigan so strong over the years or over the season. All I gotta say is I hope March Roddy Gale shows up. That's all I gotta say.
Final Four: Duke taking on Houston, and then on the other side I got BYU in Michigan. I ended up selecting Houston to beat Duke. That is a damn good tournament team, and they've been a really good tournament team. Duke tournament's kind of been their Achilles heel. I feel like a lot of years they've kind of bowed out, but they have obviously a really good squad this year. And Cam Boozer is just playing on another level. We talked about that yesterday. Obviously, both of our guys in Huda Beta both represented in my Final Four. So I got Duke and Houston. I got Houston winning
against the Elite Eight.
Okay, all right. So you got them pretty close. But I got Houston beating Duke in that game. And then I have BYU and Michigan on the other side. I do have Michigan winning that one. And then I got Michigan and Houston, the rematch of the buzzer beater to win it,
yeah.
the Jordan Poole buzzer beater against Houston in that game. And again, what would filling out a March Madness bracket be if there wasn't a little bit of bias mixed in? I took Michigan to win it all.
Okay.
So, and in my final score in that one, I'll go 75-71. It's going to be one of those games where inside of 2 minutes, both sides are hitting shots. It's just kind of wherever the cards fall, but ain't no way it's going to be any more than 2 possessions, I think, in a game like that. So 75-71, I got Michigan winning the national championship, but that's a look at my bracket. So I'm only in a couple of different competitions. I guess there's money involved, but when you have 7 million people participating in the bracket, I mean, it only takes a couple of games to lose your money. So, if I win the sweepstakes, you guys will never hear from me again. If not, I'll be right back on for Inside the Game. But let's get into question of the day.
Question of the day presented by Salt Athletic. They are the official partner, or one of the official partners of here at the National Soccer Network. And question of the day: use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off. Visit saltathletic.com today or scan that QR code if you want a chance to win one. Just head over to Instagram and drop us a follow. But anyway, question of the day: What is the best March Madness moment you have seen?
I mean, it has to be the one that I just mentioned, right? The buzzer beater against Houston. I mean, if I'm going overall, there's probably overall it has to be Jack Golke. I mean, because of the connection to Oakland and JT and having been there and worked there and been around those people and been in that building, to think that school beat Kentucky and on the shoulders of a kid who was not only a D2 transfer from Hillsdale, but someone who really, in a lot of ways, and all respect in the world of Jack Golke, he didn't have a future playing in the NBA. And that's the beautiful thing about this time of year, is that those guys stand tall. And so I think the connection to everything about Oakland and the fact that, no one actually knew who Oakland was, and everybody just kind of assumed that they were from California, right? Because if I were to tell just a general American, like, Oakland University beat Kentucky, they'd be like, oh yeah, Oakland, California. Like, that's like, it was so funny when
Kamala in Rochester.
Kamala Harris was talking about it. She's from Oakland, California, and she was like, yeah, Oakland, hometown team. It's like, no, ma'am. Like, that's not in California, other side of the country. So there was so much to love about the Oakland upset. So I think overall it would probably be that. And even the game against NC State, I mean, they were right there. They went into overtime and everything else too. But it has to be the Michigan buzzer beater to beat Houston. That was so much fun.
I have a biased one and a neutral one. Biased, Trey Burke. Trey Burke shot against Kansas.
You know what? Yeah, completely forgot about that one. Yeah,
because that game, comeback against Kansas, you beat a blue blood, and it puts you back on the map for college basketball. It puts Michigan basketball back on the map. Neutral perspective, Marcus Page and Chris Jenkins. That's the best one, because Page off balance hits a three, and it keeps going to Michael Jordan in the stands, and then Arcidiacono to Chris Jenkins hits the buzzer beater, and right when you think you saw the craziest shot, Chris Jenkins does that seconds later, and I mean, that is the best basketball game from a neutral aspect, because I mean, not necessarily the players on the floor. I mean, I don't know, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, so there's a couple NBA guys, but like, just to think that all those guys, or that great game between a team that is trying to get to North Carolina's level in Villanova and a team that's already a blue blood. That's what we talk about. Cinderellas are cute for a little bit, but they're not. They're It gets old once the second weekend comes around. But it's a great game. It was an unbelievable game. Marcus Page hits that unbelievable shot, and you think, wow, North Carolina is going to win this thing in overtime. Chris Jenkins said, "Hold my beer." Knocks it down. Unbelievable. That's what I go. Because the thing is when you got to look at it, you have a biased one for sure, and you have to have a neutral one, because because the biased one will always happen, because like Michigan State fans,
of course,
will probably say Duke, MSU, like beating Zion. But like, obviously everyone has a neutral
unless you're old enough to remember the national championship, then maybe that's
that's a little different. I agree.
Number one. But no, this is why this singular day, and it's funny because that's why we're talking about our top 5 days is because in terms of just this one day, that's why it's so exciting, because those Cinderellas, I mean, even if you just win one game, if you can beat a Purdue, or if you can beat a team that you just in normal circumstances you would have no business beating, that's, people love it. So even the non-sports people get into it big time. And so, yeah, I just think this is Michigan's best shot at going out and winning a national championship. I would arguably say in my lifetime. And I know that obviously Kaysen was a big loss, a big injury for that team, but I still think they're deep. I still think they have a lot of potential in I sent you that video from Ohio's Tate the other day, and we can talk about that weasel on this show one of these times if we want to. But, talking about how, Michigan did this, that, and the other, they're playing by the same rules everybody else is. But now it's like you have to go out. You got to go out and win it, because Beeline had some great teams, but I think Beeline was just he was a good coach in the tournament. They were good tournament teams, but were they ever the most talented teams in the world? No. Like it took a streak of luck just to get there, let alone finish it off. And in the two times that we did, I mean, we ran into freaking Dante DiVincenzo and, whoever the hell else that we ran into in the, so there was, to this year has to be the year. It really does.
I'd agree.
Yeah. So anyways, that wraps up episode 253. I just wanted to say this really quickly, Schrock. I don't know if you're listening to this, but to anybody else
at all today.
He has not been in. Wow. Okay. All right. I know he had some busy stuff going on this morning. He did talk about how he would love to come on and chat with us one of these times. I know he's had a lot of fun with us and dropping comments and whatnot. But to anybody else who watches this show, including Ken Seelman, I know you dropped a comment, and that's why you got the tickets to tonight, which we can talk a little bit more about that before we wrap this up. But just wanted to say a huge thank you to everybody who's made this possible. 253 episodes is crazy. Ryan and I were chatting about it yesterday. Like, it's weird going back and watching episode number 1 and like everything that was going on. Like, we should have a designated day to where we just re-air the first episode just to show people how far we've come on this show. But we really have come a long way. And thanks to you guys who continue to come back and watch every single day. Just remember, you can drop live comments too, and we will talk about what you have to say on the show, so long as obviously it's, appropriate to talk about on the show. But we would love to continue to get your live feedback and everything that you have to say, because a lot of fun and exciting stuff coming up really on both sides of the aisle. And that's what's great about what we do, is we're kind of entering into that time of the year. So drop your comments, let us know, get involved on social media. Again, National Soccer Network or Sports Nation TV. Again, it's sports with a Z. And continue to get involved here on Inside the Game. But we'll be back here tomorrow for 254. Again, it's Indoor Insights with our good buddy Tanner White joining us tomorrow as we get ready for the end of the MLIS season and that championship coming up. Our good friend Ryan Glinsky over here will be on the pre-post and half for that one, but we'll talk to him. We'll get you ready to go for the weekend as we get ready to roll here on Inside the Game. But for today, my name's Nate Wangler. That's Ryan Glinsky. This has been episode 253 on Inside the Game.
From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.